Hey, and welcome back to the Growing Pains podcast. I'm your host, Alyson Caffrey, and today I'm going to talk through some of the biggest challenges that I hear from moms when they are going through and planning their self-employed maternity leave, because that's what we do at my company, Master Maternity Leave. It's what our curriculum is based off of, and it's really one of the big shifts that I'm making in my professional career is really honing in on some of the challenges that happen when we work for ourselves and we need to plan to take this time off. So, as you guys know, I've been working at Operations Agency, my company that I founded and have had now for almost 7 years. And we really are in the business of streamlining the back end operations for a lot of different types of brands. And it's really exciting work because what we always say is we love to improve the work culture and the overall excitement and understanding and autonomy of teams, right? We centralize really amazing key resources for them to be able to pick up and use in their day to day work. And it's been really, really fulfilling. And something I realized when I was on the heels of my second maternity leave is that I knew that that skill set that I'd had in operations agency directly applied over to making sure that my leave was planned for my second son Jack, because my first son Frank, what ended up happening is I didn't really plan at all. I was like, oh, I had the arrogance of, I've solved these problems before, I've worked with much more complex situations and I've been able to figure it out. And if it wasn't happening to me, I didn't realize it was just different, right? It was just very different. Becoming a mom and being a business owner is very different. And so, what I want to do is I want to talk through some of the common things, reasons why people come to us, reasons why people think they might wait, but they might not need to wait, and some of the big challenges and things that our programs help solve. Because I think I've been asked by several community members to record this specific episode because we talk all the time. I'm sure if you've listened to the Growing Pains podcast, if you've been, on the show and have, really talked through some of the experiences, you know that the 0 to 1, like becoming a mom when you own a business, is a really big challenge. And a lot of women don't want to put their business down to focus on their baby. They want to be able to have that creative outlet and they want to be able to grow the company, especially if they are an income provider of their household, if they have clients that they really love supporting, if they have work that they really love doing. So I want to make sure that moms feel really prepared and that we're not alone. Because when I was actually preparing for my first maternity leave, which again, I mentioned it was not very much, I did a quick Google search and I remember popping up on the Google feed that kind of distilled version. This was in 2022, so it was before AI became very readily available and Google had their AI function. But it basically said, largely self-employed moms are on their own when it comes to planning maternity leave. And my heart just kind of sunk. I was like, really? That's what you're going to say? Or like, better luck, see you next time, or, figure it out. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, if there really is no rule book, I'd better just wait and see what happens. And then I can surely just figure it out. And I was super wrong. I was thrown for quite a loop in my first maternity leave. And when I was in the hospital with my first son, Frank, I was like DMing my team and our clients being like, had my baby, be back on Monday. And that wasn't a great position to be in. And I remember wearing it kind of like a badge of honor in the beginning. I was like, look how committed I am to my business and to my team and to my clients. But in the back of my mind, I knew that I had set down my sleeping son to go ahead and answer emails. And that just wasn't the way that I wanted motherhood to go. I love working hard and I love my kids getting to see me build my dream and have that dream seep into some of the other dreams that we have as a family. But at the end of the day, I don't ever want my kids to think that I've chosen being a business owner over choosing to be a present mom for them. And so I knew I had to figure something out. But it took a while. It took a long time because the fact of it is I was running a company. I was running a company and I was working for myself. And I was also a very, very new mom. So the bandwidth that I had to prepare and make some of these decisions and get out in front of stuff, that time had already passed. I'd already become a mom. I was thrown into the sleep schedule and the nap schedule, or excuse me, the sleep and nap schedule and the bottle feeding and breastfeeding and that whole rigmarole and having people come see the baby or not come see the baby. And it was just a whole different lifestyle than I was used to. I was used to making the decisions that I wanted to make when I wanted to make them and moving forward with projects and being able to have, uninterrupted head down time, which now as a mom, I don't have, but I actually think that going through the experience made my business better on the other end. So here's what I'm going to say. Folks who come to me at Master Maternity Leave or through any of our programs, because I actually started planning for maternity leaves with my clients at Operations Agency. And then after going through the process myself, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's really nothing here for us to be able to actually feel really, really comfortable. So what I did was I went ahead and created just like a list of here are the reasons why people want to kind of have their head around this, right? First and foremost is to be able to feel confident. I think that my opinion on being able to kind of like quell that anxious voice inside of your brain is preparation is super key. So you want to make sure that you're super prepared, and you want to make sure that you have some of those initial really challenging decisions that you may need to make in those early days at least thought through and written down, or discussed with your spouse, or discussed with your business partner, or whoever you're working with on that side of the business, so that you can easily approach them again and think through, okay, although I am in the throes of my maternity leave and I haven't slept in a couple of days all the way, through the night, I still have, pre postpartum brain, Allie, to think through some of these things, right? And I can look back at some of that. And it was really important. I actually did this on to prepare for my second maternity leave. I wrote a bunch of things down and I was just like, hey, here's a reminder. Things are going well. This is how this is going to happen. And here are my thoughts on this. And it was really helpful to see in my own voice and in my own handwriting what I was thinking before I had the craziness and chaos of having another newborn at home. So, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you're prepared in the head, like in your headspace and in your emotional state. Second is you want to make sure that you're prepared financially. So when we took when we became parents for the first time, my husband was just exiting the military. And it was a really stressful time for us generally in our personal life, but it was made more stressful by the fact that he was going off of Army benefits. He was going, his salary was going away, and I was going to kind of step into the role of sole income provider. And that was always the plan. We had always planned for that when he was exiting the military, but it became something that was really stressful because frankly, we didn't have a ton of money saved aside in the business. And so I was like, well, crap, I got to pay my salary and I have to pay other people's salaries and I have to keep getting customers. And that to me felt really, really challenging. And so, had I maybe prepared or gave myself a little bit more of a buffer while we were trying to conceive or in those kind of early months of pregnancy, I wouldn't have had to just feel like I was hoarding stuff away and being really, really stingy in those last like 3 or 4 months. And it would have been a little bit easier for me to be able to do that. Some other reasons too for preparing way ahead of time, I took advantage of short term disability insurance on my business in my second maternity leave. You'll have to discuss with your business insurance provider what is specific to your unique situation. But I didn't know that about my first maternity leave, and our business wasn't set up in a way where it was easy for me to get insured and be, covered as an employee of my business. And now being set up in a different way and being able to have that insurance, I was able to get a month's worth of pay from my insurance company to take some time off in my second maternity leave. So you could be in a position where if you get some of that stuff set up ahead of time, then you can take advantage of some of those things if you are trying to conceive. I'm not sure about, if you're already pregnant and you go to seek insurance, they may deny, your ability to be able to hold that. So those are a couple of reasons why you might start to plan this much early on. The second thing I wanted to mention about planning and why folks end up getting really great results out of this experience is that both times I went on maternity leave or had both of my sons, it was incredible to see the way that my team was able to up level. Now, we do this all the time at Operations Agency, and we create training and SOPs and key performance indicators and systems around how we can do things repeatably and really efficiently. And I thought my skill set was going to be an excellent tool to be able to use alongside my team. And I thought, right, my team rose to the occasion. A lot of the people who were working with me when I went out on maternity leave with my first son, Frank, are still working with me to this day. And to see them rise up in the organization is incredible. And it really just gives our organization the gift of that really solid refresh. There are folks who used to be individual contributors, now they're managers or directors. And it's really, really incredible to see the team come together, and then you can elevate in your position inside of your organization. And if you don't have a team currently, this is an excellent opportunity to do something that most moms struggle with, which is ask for help. Get help on some of the things that are administrative in nature and repetitive in nature in your business. Get them off of your plate so that you can focus on some of the growth initiatives, doing things that you really enjoy doing, and even still getting some time back to go and be with your family that needs a lot of you during this time. So, I want to make sure that we're prepared in advance, that we have a team that feels like they can rise into some of the positions that our company needs to support us being the visionary and the leader that our business needs. That's going to be so incredibly important. And then the third reason why folks decide to work with us and decide that taking this transition really seriously is in their best interest is because transitioning back into being a mom and a CEO, or being a mom and a principal at your company, it's not easy. So maternity leave ends, and then you still have a very young baby and a business that needs a lot of you. And so transitioning back into the business and doing that in a way that feels comfortable for you, doing that in a way that feels like it's still adding a ton of value to your business, and that you're not just like dropping the baby off at the babysitter or the daycare or whatever and saying, see you later, because that'll hurt your mom heart in the first 3 months. I know that even when we hired a nanny to support us, and both my sons were born, and Frank was probably closer to 3 years old, and Jack was still like, 9 months or so. It was a really, really hard decision to make. It was a really big challenge, and I didn't want to leave them. And it was just even crazy to even think about, because it was like 10 hours a week. I think I like net, I was leaving them for 10 hours. And it's really hard to go through that transition. So just giving yourself some of that buffer and some of that bandwidth to ease back into the business, be able to have that box checked with your baby or your other kids at home, know that they feel like, they're taken care of, and that you can kind of shut down the mom brain and go into being a business owner, and then vice versa, right? So that your business doesn't creep back into your personal life in a way that actually overtakes, you being able to spend a lot of time with your family still. Because I know so many moms. I was actually talking to a mom recently who's a good friend and colleague of mine, and she was saying, she's like, I wish I didn't come back from maternity leave. She's got about 70 employees. And she was like, everybody did really great. And I feel like I'm just complicating everything. And so I'm actually going to just go and plan again and go back out on maternity leave and have people running things the way that they're running things. And then I can just go and do my speaking and my workshops and that sort of stuff that brings new customers in the door. And I was like, that's really great. I was like, do you want to be doing that, or do you want to be running the company? And she was like, I want to be doing that. I want to be speaking and connecting and creating. And I was like, that's excellent. So maternity leave gave her that clarity and understanding that going back into her role that she currently held or previously held inside of her business actually wasn't the best thing, not only for the business long term, for her mental, spiritual, emotional health, and also for the health of her family. So, going through the transition and becoming a mom, or going through maternity leave again, if you're a second or third time mom or beyond, the biggest thing that we can do is we can give ourselves the gift of time and planning. So, if you're trying to conceive and you're like, hey, I'm not ready for this yet, I actually recommend jump on it. Like, if I had to do this all over again, I absolutely would have started planning for our financial health and for what I was going to do, through maternity leave, and getting my business set up with some key systems, getting a couple new hires in the door, because we went in to a season of hiring after we had our second son, Jack. And that was something I didn't know and didn't prepare for. And that ended up throwing me for a loop a little bit later in the year. And I just know that creating these systems is not only going to help you be in a position to have a maternity leave that you actually feel comfortable and confident taking, but it'll also allow you to return to a better business, one that feels more supportive, one that feels more integrated with your life, especially as you enter into this new season of either becoming a mom or having multiple kids at home and having a little baby that needs. I know so many moms and so many people who even have older kids, and they're like, hey, I really wish that I had this type of experience, a few years ago when I'd had my kiddos. And so if you're expecting or you are trying to conceive and you know that you want to grow your family and you are currently a business owner or work for yourself, definitely consider jumping over mastermaternityleave.com. We have our planning course there. You can also apply to work with me one on one, either in a group or a one on one specific session. But we do 1 day maternity leave planning intensives. And those are really, really helpful for just like getting all of your ideas and thoughts and everything really planned out and understand exactly what your roadmap is for maternity leave. And it feels like you will have some additional resources at your fingertips, because I never want another mom to feel like I did when I, made that Google search all those years ago. And it felt so lonely, especially when I was planning, because I had so many incredible friends and family and people who were there to lift me up and encourage me, but not very many, entrepreneurial moms who were in a position where they really understood what I was going through. They really understood the fact that I am the principal of my business. I'm the voice in a lot of ways. I am the person who's leading all the projects and taking all the client calls and all these things. And so it's really given me a great new lease on my business over becoming a mom, and just the forcing function of making sure that what's important stays important and what isn't important is able to get kind of axed off of the plate, or at least tabled for a later season. So head over to mastermaternityleave.com and check out some of our resources. There's plenty of free resources, and there is going to be so much more coming down the pike, because I really, really believe that you shouldn't have to choose between growing your business and growing your family. And this is one of the things that I'm just really, really excited about, serving moms in my community with some of these resources. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. If you liked this episode and you continue to enjoy the solos, I hope that you'll leave us an incredible review. I hope that you will let me know what types of topics. You can always send me a direct message at Ali Caffrey on Instagram. Let me know what topics you're resonating with. If I haven't covered something on the show, or if you have an incredible mom that you want to hear from who's in the thick of growing her business and raising a family at home, please, please let me know. I love hearing from you guys when you love our episodes. And if you have suggestions for me, I just love hearing that. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.